The celebration within the community is a moment where death becomes life. Laughter overcomes sorrow. Memory overcomes oblivion. Eternity lives and coexists with the present.
Poetry, music, dancing. Celebrating Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead.
They say there are 3 deaths. The first one is when you die. The second one is when your body is no longer visible, that you're either cremated or buried. And the third is the worst, is when you're forgotten.
We're at the Bancroft Gallery in South Omaha. It's the time of year when people dress up for Halloween, but this isn't Halloween. Instead, it's a time when a door is opened, briefly, for the dead to return to the physical world. To tempt the spirits, families put food and drink by their graves, and they create offerings known as ofrendas.
You put out their favorite things. It just is not food, it's cigarettes, their favorite beer, their favorite beverage, their favorite candy, for the spirit to let them know that they are welcome. It's giving gratitude to their lives. And once they've absorbed the essence of smell, then you take those same foods and offer it to your family and friends who are visiting.
I always equated Dia de los Muertos with our Memorial Day. And it's a day for sadness. It's a day to remember your losses. I've learned Dia de los Muertos is a day when you go back to the grave and you let your ancestors, your family that are gone, come and visit with you, sit down and exchange with you, be with you. The Mexican people believe that their relatives come and share that moment with them. And because of their distance, it is a celebration of life.
I've been missing you so much.
We're a family. Our artists and our musicians are families to us now.
Celebrating Dia de los Muertos goes beyond South Omaha.
También me dijo un arriero que no hay que llegar primero, pero hay que saber.
These are all candies for the spirits. I mean, if you wanted to, you can bring a photo of somebody that you want to be publicly honored and remembered. You can bring it.
It's Day of the Dead at the Sheldon Art Gallery in Lincoln.
It's a holiday that brings the whole family together, and this is a holiday that Sheldon can have that can bring the whole community together as well. It's very family-friendly, as you can see. It's also cultural understanding. They can learn something that they may not otherwise see in your everyday life.
Everything on the ofrenda has meaning. The flowers, especially marigolds, are known as flor de muerto, flowers of the dead. But above all, the ofrenda is personal.
I had a friend who died when she was 17, and every year her family and friends will put Hello Kitty and goldfish crackers on her headstone because that is what she loved. The spirits will like to hear that music. I've been in cemeteries where mariachi band will be there the entire day, playing music all day to the headstones because they believe the spirits are there, and they would like to hear the music that they listened to when they were alive.
I have to say that culturally, I grew up in Los Angeles, where Dia de los Muertos is celebrated everywhere, at this time of year.
The sugar skulls is something I always remember as a kid. We always wanted to get a sugar skull and sink our teeth on them and give it to death, So death has been a part of our thinking forever. And again, not in a scary way, but you can see some of the art released here. It's playful, it's colorful, it's joyful. It's not necessarily a scary thing. I think the most important part in terms of culture that I can think of is the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Indians in Mexico. When they were forced the Catholic religion upon them, they really modified it. They didn't accept it the way the Europeans thought that we had accepted it, but we modified it, and this is the result of that.
There's a paradise where food and drink abound. The colors, the flavors, the sounds and rhythms multiply through the dances, the music, and the offerings.
Back in South Omaha at the Bancroft Gallery, the Ballet Folklorico Xochitl continues its performance, surrounded by the art of Dia de los Muertos.
We take a few weeks and we just pile all of the paints and all of the things that we need to get everything done, and we throw on mariachi music and get out the tequila and just spend a whole lot of time and completely destroy the dining room for 2 weeks, create a whole bunch of pieces, and then...
And drink more tequila.
Yes. Music to My Bones, this year's theme at the gallery, inspired Wayne Brekke to create something new out of an old guitar.
This actually opens up, and this was the way he gave it to me. So I made art out of it. And inside is the cantina of the dead, and this is where they all get to come in, and the spirits come in, and they get to have a great time.
Death inspires each artist in a unique way.
For the most part, it just comes from my heart, because dying is a celebration of living, and it's what I create, what I feel.
I've often felt like I've had a foot in two different worlds and not quite fitting in either. I use a lot of house paint. I use a lot of domestic materials that everybody already has a relationship with. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. And this was a really good way for me to reconnect to part of my culture.
The first painting that I did was this one, and it's Birdsong to the Dead. And looking at the theme of music, really birds, sort of nature is my church. And when I think about my parents who are both deceased and the people who I've loved, a lot of times walking in the woods was sort of like our communion with the spiritual world. And so I wanted the idea of bird songs for the deceased to be sort of the thread that wove through my work.
My brother, Johnny, we called him Johnny, he died when he was 14, 15, and he was a trumpet player. He had a form of cerebral palsy, and his head would go perpetually back and forth, back and forth. But when he put the trumpet up to his mouth, he could calm himself and stay perfectly still while he played. You know, it just touches me to think that his story is continuing even though he's been gone so long.
No one dies as long as you remember them.
Dave Manriquez remembers the night his rock and roll heroes, Ritchie Valens and Buddy Holly, died in a plane crash.
It was really sad when I walked into the house. It was like a relative had died. And you know, they were playing the songs that they sang, and you know, cold February 3rd day, the day the music died, I titled in my painting. And the ofrenda is really great because it's not only a ofrenda, but it's a retablo. It tells the story of their death, because I actually have the plane crash. I have the cars, the automobiles at the site. I did the best I could. Dearest, and what's interesting is, like, I saw a movie the other day and they had an old Buddy Holly song in it I had never heard before. It was called Dearest. And I went out and bought the soundtrack just for that one song. So it's really neat. So it's like he's never gone away.
I think in our own way, we all want to be remembered for something. I think that's all innate as a human being.
With the first light of dawn comes time to say goodbye to our dead. They will go back to their world, and we will return to ours. It is the time for the last prayer, perhaps the most devoted one. We Latinos take our time to say goodbye. We like togetherness. And when somebody leaves our home, we go to the door or even outside the house just to be together with them a little longer.